Hello.
Hi again, Veronica. Hi, Erik.
Hi, Mom. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So we're going to talk about our last subject for today, and that is dysfunctional families. There are so many of them. I know that my family of origin was that way.
He says, who isn't? Who isn't, Mom?
I
Who
know.
isn't?
Well, how would we define a dysfunctional family anyway? That might be a good place to start.
Definition of a dysfunctional family is where all the souls walk around with their own agenda. There's no connection to anybody else's agenda.
Oh, okay. So lack of connection.
Yeah. Self-centric. They lose track that they're souls in body form, and it, me, 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 me.
Yeah, you can't do that when you're raising children at all.
But unfortunately, that's probably the crux of a lot of families, he says. The gist, the meaning, how do I say it? That's the hub of the families, A lot of people get wrapped up in their self-centeredness and their own agendas.
Well, what percent of families in the world do you think are dysfunctional?
He says it's huge, probably 90%.
Oh my gosh. Some worse than others, of course.
He wants to clarify there are varying degrees.
Oh, sure.
And so, one on this spectrum might be here, one's down here. There are varying degrees. And that all ties in with why they came here, what's going to happen, why this has to play out like that. He says essentially a family is, as he talked about the contracts we come in with, the family caught a part of the contract. And, they're getting this piece of the contract, they united together, but they're not fulfilling the words, so to speak, on the contract. They went rogue, he said.
Going rogue.
They went rogue.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that members in this dysfunctional family are that way to honor some sort of spiritual contract, like teaching another member of the family self-empowerment or loyalty or connection or love or self-love. I don't know. There's probably lots of spiritual contracts woven into this whole thing about dysfunctional families. Can you talk about that?
It's a whole big thing of, think about it like this, he's saying. When you throw your clothes in the washer, everybody throws their clothes in, and we try to throw the like kind of clothes in together, like the darks and the whites, and we don't want to mix them up. So we're keeping the family as one piece of this, and we're all going in, and we're being spun around, we're being wrung out, we're going through life, and ultimately it's a matter of who came out of there most clean, with the cleanest agenda, can be the leader in the family.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Because he's saying, did he explain it properly? So in other words, in our world, we tend to erroneously, he says, call the male the lead of the family. I mean, right. He says erroneously, he admits, but that's the one that came out, the soul that came out supposedly the cleanest. Now we know that's not true, but initially that's what we come down with. That's how it all kind of figures itself. So who's going to be the dad? Well, I've worked through this and I'll be the dad here, and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Is what he's saying. All these pieces, all these little pieces that are in this laundry kind of thing, in this family, all have the option, because it's called free will, to follow what's written. So it's all written down based on, what they agreed to.
Right.
And if they decide not to follow it, then this is where things go completely off center. This is where we don't recognize mental illness. Yeah. We don't look at dad has a drinking problem. We choose to not see it. Yeah. Where he's saying, if it were this easy, Erik, if they just stayed on script.
Good luck with that. So do you think a lot of dysfunctional families, mental illness is at the core? Most of it, maybe?
Absolutely, he says, absolutely, on some level. Again, he wants to emphasize varying degrees, varying levels of mental illness. He's saying that the fact that you need all the glasses to line up in the cabinet is some sort of mental illness. So there's a degree. Schizophrenia is another degree of mental illness. So it's all varying degrees.
So if you have a father with narcissistic personality disorder or a mother with borderline personality disorder, I mean, there's so many things that can create a dysfunctional family.
Absolutely.
And mental illness.
But the biggest thing he wants to get across, and I hear Erik say this all the time, he really wants people to understand that we are more than our circumstances and our situations.
Yeah.
He's really adamant about, okay, I'm describing his attitude right now as nonchalant, and I don't take it disrespectfully, but he's kind of like, okay, well, you know what? This is what you came in with. This is what you have to deal with. And he's kind of a matter of a fact, this is what it is. Now, when he was here, he's very clear to tell me he knew something was off. He knew that something, but he just is like this. He couldn't quite put his finger on it. He didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't. So there's a lot of hymns out there, he's saying.
Oh yeah. So what about this? The divorce rate seems to be so high. Why do people get divorced?
Because they think that they can get rid of what hurts. And the reality is this. Erik is very clear about this. I want to get it right, so give me a minute.
Okay.
It's okay to divorce, meaning, rip up your piece of paper that legally says you're married after the souls have evolved together.
Yeah, I think that sometimes we marry people and we're just supposed to complete some sort of contract. Maybe it's just giving birth to one of the children.
Always.
And then it's over with and you go on and find another person, if you have to do that, that will help you evolve mutually.
But, he's saying the human brings the ego into it. And then all of a sudden it becomes about, look what you did to me and you did that to me. He says if we could just get to where he is, and he kind of says that, but if we could just get there, we would understand. So A and B come together, they make C, D, and E. Okay, that maybe was their point. And instead of A going over here to get with G, before they get rid of B, why don't they just figure out this is a soul contract and then say, see you later in a nice, loving way? Love. Yeah. People don't understand love and what it is. And he says, and he's like this, it is not disposable.
No.
You do not throw love away. He's very
but people get divorced each side. So you hurt me. No, you hurt me worse, and you hurt me. So the ego and fear.
Well, sure. But, if there was love that brought them together, and on some level it was love, the evolved soul, the evolved consciousness says everything is of love. And so I come to you in love, with love, and then why can't I leave you? Because it's the ego, it's the human. Yeah. This is what he wants to help raise awareness about and consciousness about. Yeah. That's big.
So how can you tell if you're wanting a divorce is because the contract is finished versus some other reason, like you're not working hard, the couple is not working hard enough to salvage the relationship that should be ongoing because your contract's not finished.
I swear to you, this is not me, what I'm going to say. I'm embarrassed. Is my face red?
A little bit.
He
Go
said,
ahead.
Mom,
yeah.
Mom, it's like when you're taking a poop.
Okay.
How do you know you're done?
Okay, so you just know you're done.
You just know you're done.
What are little hints? What are little hints that, man, you need to stick it out and get help? couples therapy or whatever. They'll take a nonviolent communication course, read the book. What sort of hints will a couple have that they need to continue and fight?
He says there should be a contract, not the marriage license, not the soul contract, because we already know that exists. There should be a contract that says, in the event of, and he doesn't have the words down, but in the event of, you will do X, Y, Z in X amount of time. It's like a checklist. Okay, so how do you know you have to go to the bathroom? Well, I don't know why he's using this analogy, but
Scatological humor, always funny for him.
right? You just know you got to go to the bathroom. It's like that. And it's like that feeling in your relationship. You just know something's bubbling up. Something's not right. Something needs releasing, he says. Like when you take a good shit.
Oh, Erik.
I swear to you, I don't.
He's trying to make you embarrassed. He's having fun with you. All right, so if you should listen to your intuition and know, or feel, I should say, that you should continue to work and save the relationship versus, here's what I got out of this relationship. I'm grateful to it. Let's move on in love. Is that what you're trying to say, pretty much?
Yes, but he wants to clarify something. In no way, shape, or form should either one be being abused.
Oh, no.
That's a contractual break right there.
Yeah, right,
That's a clean break. But what happens is a lot of people in their contract come in and sign up for, believe it or not, some form of torture.
Well, yeah, because there's a big lesson in there, like self-love, for example. Yeah. You can get that big lesson. You just have to recognize it and be grateful for it and let it go.
He just wants to clarify that he doesn't want anyone watching this that's in an abusive relationship to say, oh, I got to get my checklist out. No, because nobody, it's not, love doesn't hurt all the time. It's not about the hurt.
And any kind of abuse, physical, emotional, mental. So what do you tell a person who's undergoing that kind of abuse in a relationship? What should they do?
Well, he said, first of all, there's no power. They feel powerless, which is why they stay. And the abuser feels like he needs more power. Yeah. So it's I'm hungry, you're feeding me. And so it's like this. So how do you make yourself not be prey? Is, you kind of have to get your wits about you. It's kind of like sneaking off in the middle of the night when no one's looking, doing your self-development work, Erik's answer is always touch the soul, go into the soul, listen to the soul, because the soul holds your contract. Yeah. And the soul, he wants to make this clear. The soul is, this is brilliant. The soul is always whispering to us. Whispering. The soul is not panic. The soul is not fear. The soul is not drama. The soul is always, the whisper is, something doesn't feel right in my life.
Well, raise your voice, soul. God, I'm hard of hearing. All right, so what's the other things besides self-love, or perhaps, self-empowerment, because the one has all the financial control and the other does not have the skills that are going to be getting them a good job, whatever. What other kind of contracts, spiritual contracts, are in this whole abusive relationship setup?
Values. Defining values. Values are one of the ways that we can strengthen the soul. So in other words, what do you value?
Yeah.
If you come in as an abused soul and you're here to play out that abuse, you're not going to have a lot of things that you value. You're not going to have a lot of things you respect, including, he says, yourself.
Yeah.
So the number one thing that he wants people to look at right now, what are your values? What do you value in life? And if it's being taken away or shut down or repressed in any way, shape, or form,
adios.
You need to look at it. Absolutely.
Okay, well, what about let's talk to people who want to stay together. There is some value in their relationship. what should they do? What kind of help should they get?
hmm Well, talking always helps, but the bigger thing is feelings. You know, Erik is reminding us that we call what we feel second nature. That's not
Yeah.
true.
Okay.
What we feel is first nature.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he says that. He says, feel first, think second.
Yep. Yep, it's our first nature to feel.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you're drifting, he says, drifting, 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 feel it, acknowledge it, and then come together over it. Okay. And in reality, some people may be drifting, and that's cool, he says, because whatever, go drift, but do it in love and peace.
Yeah. So what specific help should they get?
Counseling, he's saying you can go talk to a counselor. Oh, he's big on spiritual life coaching.
Oh, good. Yeah, me too. That's good.
Spiritual life coaching. Yeah. And there's sometimes when you need the traditional, he's calling it the traditional archaeological dig, where somebody needs to go in and get in your head.
Yeah.
But spiritual life coach, because the beauty of the spiritual life coach is they're bringing the whole soul, the whole enchilada in. It's not just here. It's
That's
the whole
good.
thing.
So
Yeah.
It seems like the divorce rate is maybe it's higher than it used to be. Is it? And if so, why?
He's saying, well, obviously, there are more people.
Well, yeah.
So, obviously there are more people, but he's saying it's always leveling out because people are dying. So, is it really more? Is it high? He's being semantical with that. And he's also saying that it's really not about tracking that. It's about thinking in terms of, he doesn't want people to get married saying, okay, I know this can end.
Oh, no.
Obviously. But he would love to see, he's saying like there are classes that people have before they get married.
Okay.
Premarital classes, I guess they have.
Good.
I don't know. But he's saying, why not pre-spiritual marital classes?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Remember we talked about the mental illness component too. So here comes Bobby, Bobby's carrying all this stuff back here, and and all of a sudden Bobby looks like maybe Bobby's got a little bit more on his plate than Susie wants to handle. And so there's a way to work through that so that the stability is there when they bring little Johnny in. So he's saying that's the big picture.
That's
so
important.
Spiritual, marital, premarital counseling.
My sister really is a big advocate for this thing called the Life Mark. I think it's Life Mark, the forum, a course where you pretty much find out everything about how your soul ticks.
Yep.
So that even might be a good situation. Okay, children of divorce. The last thing I want to talk about real briefly because we're almost out of time. Yeah, what do you have to say about children from a divorced family? Family.
Children from a divorced family are only at a disadvantage, he says, because of the parental involvement. Because kids are kids are kids. And so he said, be honest with yourself about what you're giving your kid all the way around. He's looping us back to that whole, he's an advocate shaking his hands for that spiritual premarital counseling. And he's saying that kids of divorce oftentimes become pawns.
I know.
And it's really, again, the human ego coming into play. And Erik is like just right now today done with the whole it's in my contract. Because now he's like fired up about now you're bringing the kid into it.
Yeah.
How do you protect the kid? And the reality is the parent has to think bigger than themselves. Yeah. They have to say, you know what, you got this. You brought this in. You don't stop being a parent and caring about this child because you don't like the dad or the mom anymore. And that's what happens, as we know. Of
course, the benefit is you get more presents. Birthdays and holidays. But that pales in comparison. So, just demonstrating love between the parents, having an amicable relationship would hopefully help. Respect. Right.
No matter what. People get hurt every day. Every day, every minute, every second, somebody's hurting somebody, whether it's physical, emotional, verbally. Every day somebody's getting hurt. And every day somebody has the choice to not react back.
That's right. That is so important. We always stress the other end of it, but we have a choice to not react out of
Right.
fear, but to react out of love.
Right.
I think that's great. Anything else you want to say about dysfunctional families or divorce, Erik?
Mom, I never felt the dysfunction.
Well, we were probably in that 90%.
There you go.
But we always loved each other, all of us in our family.
Yes, and that will never change, she says. Never change.
Of course not. All right, love you. Thank you so much, Veronica. You guys got to check her out at www.veronicadrake.com. I will put it here. And thank you so much. I love you guys out there. Bye. Bye, Erik. Bye, Veronica.
Bye, Mom.
See ya.
Prepara.